It won't happen the second you stop texting. It won't happen because you posted a strong photo. And it definitely won't happen because you tried to make her jealous. That's the illusion most men believe. The truth is, it happens quietly, internally, almost invisibly. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly why. If you value real psychological insight, the kind most people never talk about, take a second to like and subscribe, not for validation, but because these conversations matter. Now let's talk about something most men experience, but very few understand. When a woman starts taking a man for granted, it rarely feels dramatic. There's no big moment, no argument, no clear turning point. It's subtle. At the beginning, she may have admired everything about you, your steadiness, your loyalty, your consistency. You showed up, you listened, you cared. But over time, something changes. That same reliability she once appreciated becomes expected. Predictability replaces appreciation. And this isn't about her being a bad person. It's about human psychology. The mind adapts quickly to what feels secure. When something feels guaranteed, the brain stops highlighting it as important. It saves energy. It stops noticing. So if you're a man who gives deeply, who shows up consistently, you can slowly become something invisible. Not because you lack value, but because your value became constant. You become emotional infrastructure. Necessary, but unnoticed. And here's where it gets even more dangerous. You feel the shift. You sense the distance. So what do most men do? They give more. They try harder. They over-explain. They over-invest, hoping she'll feel it again, hoping she'll remember what you bring. But the more you overextend, the more your effort becomes normal, and your presence becomes assumed. Here's the truth most men were never taught. Being taken for granted is not a sign that you lack value. It's a sign that you gave value without boundaries. Because humans don't measure importance through constant availability. We measure it through contrast. Light is appreciated in darkness. Warmth is valued in cold. Presence is understood in absence. And if you're always there, always forgiving, always available, she never experiences contrast. So she never fully feels your depth. Not yet. The missing doesn't begin when you argue. It doesn't begin when you demand attention. It begins when your emotional energy changes, when you stop over-explaining, when you stop chasing reassurance, when you stop trying to convince someone to see your worth, because something powerful happens in that moment. When a man pulls back, not out of anger, not to play games, but out of clarity, the space he once filled becomes visible, and that's when everything shifts. But understand this clearly. This is not manipulation. This is awareness, because absence alone does not create longing. Emotional absence does. When you stop filling her emotional gaps, when you're no longer her constant support, her constant reassurance, her mind starts noticing something is missing. At first, it's subtle. She can't quite explain it, but something feels different. The rhythm she was used to is gone, and the brain hates broken patterns. It starts searching for what changed. That's when she begins to reflect. She remembers your presence, not just physically, but emotionally, your patience, your calmness, the way you made things feel stable, easy, grounded. But here's the part most men misunderstand. Just because she starts missing you doesn't mean she's ready to come back. Not yet. Missing you is the beginning of awareness, not the end of the story. She may feel the absence, but not fully understand it. She might distract herself, ignore it, push it aside. Because real change only happens when awareness turns into understanding. And that takes time. This is where most men make the mistake. They feel the shift, and they rush back in. They try to prove their worth, explain themselves, recreate the connection. But that doesn't build recognition. It destroys it. Because value isn't something you argue for. It's something that becomes clear when it's no longer there. When you stay grounded, when you maintain your boundaries, When you continue living your life without chasing, she starts comparing life with you versus life without you. And that comparison is what creates emotional weight. She begins to realize that what felt normal was actually rare. Your consistency, your presence, your ability to understand her without her explaining everything. Those things aren't easy to replace. And slowly, that realization turns into something deeper, not just missing you, understanding you. But here's the paradox: the deeper the connection was, the longer it often takes to recognize the loss. Because familiarity blinds people. They only see clearly after it's gone. Even then, recognition doesn't always lead to action. She might feel it and still not reach out. She might understand it and still stay silent, because all of this happens internally first. But eventually, as it starts to show, in small ways, she might reach out casually, ask about your life, engage a little more, laugh a little easier, not dramatic, not obvious, subtle. These aren't confessions, they're signals. Signals that she's starting to see what she once overlooked. And those signals won't be consistent. One day she leans in, the next day she pulls back. That's not a game. That's her trying to understand what she's feeling. And this is where your patience matters most. Because the more grounded you stay, the more that contrast becomes real. The more she feels the difference between having you and not having you. Over time, that feeling deepens. It becomes more than emotion. It becomes clarity. She starts to feel the weight of your absence in everyday moments. Conversations, decisions, challenges, and for the first time, she sees you clearly, not as someone who was always there, but as someone who mattered. But remember this: missing you does not guarantee she'll come back. It only means she finally understands your value. And sometimes that understanding comes too late, because appreciation doesn't happen instantly. It grows in absence, it forms in reflection, and it becomes undeniable when something once taken for granted becomes irreplaceable. And in that moment, she's not just missing you anymore. She's realizing what she lost.